So I thought this session to talk a little bit about the conducive conditions that we need to have in order to develop serenity, to develop complete serenity, okay? And then also a little bit more about how to structure a session and how to do the meditation. So when I'm talking, we can all deepen our concentration. We can all do the practices that lead to serenity at any time. But if we are hoping to gain full serenity, in other words, the ability to place our mind on a virtuous object for as long as we wish and have it stay there, to attain that full realization, then we need certain conditions, okay? And even if our aim isn't right now to develop full serenity, because we don't have all of those conditions, we can still try and create as many as the conditions as possible, because that will definitely help our practice. Whereas if we don't have these conditions, and yet we expect to sit down and meditate and develop single-pointedness, we're going to be very frustrated and disappointed, okay? Because as we know, the Buddha's slogan is dependent arising, which means everything depends on causes and conditions. So the same thing for learning to concentrate the mind. The only cause and condition isn't just to sit on the meditation cushion. That's not the only cause and condition. There's a lot of other causes and conditions. So the more of them we can create, then the easier it's going to be to generate serenity. Okay? So one of the first good condition is we need a favorable place to meditate, okay? Which means usually it entails doing retreat. In other words, you're in a retreat kind of situation, not doing a lot of other activities, and you're in a very conducive environment. In other words, one that's quiet, peaceful, safe, healthy, okay? If you're living in a place where there's a lot of toxic substances next to a garbage dump or a nuclear waste site, it can be difficult for you to meditate, If you live in a place where there's a lot of noise, if your house is next to a highway, okay? If your kids are playing in the next room, if your cell phone is beeping all the time, you're going to have a hard time developing concentration, okay? So you need an environment that's very conducive. In the olden days, they didn't say anything about electronic devices. But I think if you're really going to develop serenity, you need to unplug. And the only way, and here I'm talking about a retreat situation, okay? Because if you're doing retreat and you're still going online and writing emails and checking the news and checking Facebook, how are you going to develop concentration on your chosen object of meditation? Okay? Very difficult, isn't it? Okay? I can see if you're, as we'll come to it, one condition is being near other meditators or being near a teacher. So I can see that if you're meditating in a place where your teacher is far away, it could may be useful to have a cell phone to make calls to, get meditation instructions or to check your experiences. But even that, sometimes picking up this thing with so many memories of what it's meant in your life can actually be quite distracting. Did some of you have difficulty putting your phone in the safe? I think so. Okay, so favorable place. Second one is you need to develop a clear and correct understanding of the method to practice. Yeah, a clear and correct understanding of the method to practice. Okay, which means that we have to have teachings from a reliable teacher on how to do the practice to develop concentration, what object to concentrate on, how to structure your session, what to do when you have obstacles or hindrances, what to expect on the way, what are the signposts, you know. So we need to hear teachings on all of these, and then we need to have a correct understanding. Just hearing the teachings doesn't mean we have a correct understanding, because lots of times we don't hear things correctly. I know for myself, sometimes I'll give a talk about how to work with anger, and people will come up to me afterwards and say, "You said we shouldn't get angry." I said, "Really? Please listen to the tape. I never say that." Yeah, but people hear that. So, you know, we have to not just hear the teachings, but make sure we understand the instructions correctly. Okay, and we know how to implement them correctly. So that means thinking about them, discussing them with other people, sometimes reading them from different books, you know, from the same tradition, is very helpful, because some teachers may use different words that will help you clearly understand things. And then, of course, asking questions from your own experience. Okay, so to have a clear and correct understanding. Yeah, and I really emphasize this because nowadays, you know, the word meditation or concentration, they're commonly used in society. So people think that, let's say when you're painting, you're doing creative work, you're painting or you're playing music or something, and it requires concentration to do that, then people think, oh, that's the same kind of concentration as the meditative concentration we're developing here. No, it's not. Yeah, it's very different, because artistic concentration, you're changing objects all the time. Yeah, if you're painting, you're using different colors. The images in your mind are changing. The sounds are changing. Your fingers on the instrument are changing, or your vocal cords are changing. Yeah? But in this kind of meditation, the object we're focusing on does not change. We focus on the same object, yeah, which doesn't change. So it's different. Yeah, the concentration you need to study for an exam is different than this kind of meditative concentration. Okay? Similarly, now the word meditation is very popular. People think that meditation just means you sit down and close your eyes and have, positive aspirations. No, affirmations. Yeah, that you sit and do positive affirmations. Yes, I am beautiful. Beautiful enough to attract Mr. Buddha Boy. I am going to be rich. I am skilled and capable and will get a good job and be rich. And they think that is meditation. That is called daydreaming, distraction from a Buddhist viewpoint. Okay, it's called cultivating attachment. Yeah, it's not called cultivating concentration. So we really have to understand what the words are and, what we're really getting at here. Okay? Then the third condition is to be free of coarse desires and have few desires. Okay? Do you have few desires? Here we're not talking about the desire for Buddhahood or the desire to develop compassion or whatever. We're talking about desires for beautiful things to see, wonderful people to be with, reputation, approval, music, beautiful sounds and smells and delicious food and nice tactile sensations and a good sex life and a lot of entertainment. Are you free from coarse desires? Yeah? What happens when you sit down to meditate? What comes in your mind? If it's the session before lunch, it's usually what's for lunch. Yeah? Other times of the day, it's, well, who am I going to see after this session? Yeah? And what, I want to have a really good meal. After this retreat, where am I going to go to have a good meal? Enough of this no coffee, no meat business. Yeah? Where can I go to, just have a good time and some nice entertainment? I want to relax. I want to go see a movie with lots of sex and violence, because that's what people say is relaxing nowadays. Isn't it? Yeah, I want to go relax. I want to watch the latest Batman movie. Or the latest whatever the thing is. It's got to have sex and violence in it. And that's what we call relaxing. So, are we free of coarse desires? Okay, so if we want to do a retreat where we're really going to focus on developing serenity, before we enter that retreat, we need to do a lot of practice to reduce the strength of our desires. Because otherwise, we'll get to a favorable place, we'll have heard the instructions, but we'll sit down to meditate and our mind is just full of the objects of our desire. Okay? So we have to do a lot of practice beforehand on the disadvantages of clinging attachment, and a lot of analysis on the objects that we desire to see if they're capable of providing the happiness that we want them to provide or expect them to provide. Yeah? We have to look and really see at least something of the nature of these objects. For example, the fact that they're transient. They arise and disappear. They're impermanent. They don't last. How are they ever going to give us lasting happiness and comfort and security? Impossible. Yeah? Or if we have a lot of, different kinds of desires. If you're desiring food all the time, you're going, visualizing the Buddha's difficult, visualizing pizza's easy. Okay? Yeah, in fact, you can even say what kind of pizza it is. Yeah, when I say pizza, do you have an image in your mind right now? Even your eyes are open. Very clear image. What kind of pizza is it?
Mushroom.
Yeah, mine's mushroom too. Thin crust or thick crust? Okay. Yeah, lots of tomato sauce?
Yeah.
Some say yes, some say no. But you see, very clear visualization. It comes instantaneously. If I say, think of the Buddha. Yeah. So this is because of habituation. Yeah, we have so much habituation with our objects of desire that these objects just, they come in our mind and we just follow them all over. Yeah? When I say, again, with the Buddha, hard to visualize. If I say, think of a person you're attracted to. Yeah? Somebody come to mind? Yeah? Especially if I say, think of a person you're sexually attracted to. Yeah, right away, boy, that person's in your mind. Yeah? Clear image, you know exactly what they look like. Buddha? Oh, no. Yeah? So, see, again, it's a thing of familiarity. Yeah? And we're very familiar with the objects of our desires, so we need to learn how to look at those objects and really see them a little bit for what they are. Does somebody else have the ability to bring you everlasting happiness? Is sleeping with them going to satisfy your desire? Is having that kind of food going to lead you to everlasting fulfillment? What are we expecting out of the things we're attached to? Okay? So, if we really want to develop concentration, we have to do this kind of preliminary work to reduce our level of desire. Okay? That's one of the reasons for living in a monastery, is that, it's designed to reduce your level of desire. Yeah? If you want certain clothes, there's one choice. Yeah. If you want a certain hairdo, there's also one choice. If you want certain food, well, it depends what's on the table. You may, sometimes there's things you like and sometimes there aren't. And there's always PB&J. Okay? So it's designed to help us reduce our desires. The fourth circumstance is to be satisfied and content, not always wanting more and better. Are you satisfied and content? Yeah? Okay, in terms of possessions, are you satisfied and content with what you have? Yeah? Or is there something that if somebody said, oh, what can I get you, that you instantly want? That new comforter, that whatever it is, So are we satisfied with what we have in terms of possessions? Yeah. Maybe you want a different house, maybe you want a new kind of car, or a new kind of appliance, or you want to update your cell phone because your smartphone is not so smart this year. There's another smarter phone. Yeah. How about, are we satisfied with what we do? Are you satisfied with what you do? On a day-to-day basis. Are you satisfied? With how you act, with your behavior, what you do for a living, how you treat other people. How about, are we satisfied with who we are? Can we accept ourselves? Or is there a lot of self-criticism going on in our heads? Yeah. So again, in order not to be distracted by these kinds of things, we need to do some work beforehand to develop satisfaction. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't, go ahead and meditate to develop serenity beforehand, before you get a handle on your desires and also develop some level of satisfaction. You can do that meditation, but just know that you'll have these hindrances and see them as part of what you're going to have to work through as you're doing your meditation. In other words, don't go into the retreat thinking, oh, I'm not going to have any problems or hindrances. These things will come up. What I'm saying is the more that we're able to get a handle on them and subdue them, even we haven't eliminated them completely, because that's going to come way, way later on the path. But, to the degree that we're able to subdue these wants and desires and develop satisfaction, to that degree, doing retreat and developing serenity is going to be easier. Yeah, to the degree that we still have a lot of desires and aren't very satisfied, then to know that these things will come up in our meditation and we're going to have to work with them. Yeah, so don't expect that you're going to close your eyes and be in la-la land. Okay? And I say this because, I see sometimes how we go into retreats with so much enthusiasm and very unrealistic expectations. Yeah. And so now when I do retreat, I just go in saying, well, stuff's going to come up. And when stuff comes up, instead of going, oh no, not again, I thought I dealt with this last retreat, I say, oh good, I'm seeing it again. Now I have a chance to work with it in a deeper way. Yeah. So if you have that kind of attitude, when stuff comes up, you work with it, you process it, you go through it, you return to your meditation. Okay. Then the fifth condition is to be free from involvement in worldly activities. Okay. So it's going to be hard to develop perfect single-pointedness and serenity if you're working a job. Yeah. Or when you're raising kids. Or when you're involved in a lot of projects and different kinds of things. So again, this doesn't mean you don't do the meditation, but just be aware that, you don't have the perfect conditions, and so have realistic expectations. Yeah, because we all know that what we do in the break time between sessions influences our meditation. A lot. And that's why when we have retreat, we keep it as a silent retreat where people aren't talking to each other. Because when we talk to each other, we create personal identities. I like this, I don't like that. Who are you? What kind of person are you? Do I want to create a friendship with you? Oh, you're really good looking. All this stuff comes in our mind. Okay, so that's why we keep silence in retreat. Yeah, that's why no phones or computer use or these kinds of things, because otherwise you sit down to meditate and it's like, uh-oh, I said this in a conversation. I bet they're going to misunderstand that. Or I just got this text message. Oh, not again, this person's bugging me. I thought I explained it to them. And this is going to interrupt your meditation. Yeah, right or wrong? Yeah? Okay. So it takes a while, even when you leave that stuff behind, when you go to do retreat. And this is why doing long retreat is very helpful, is because it takes you a period of time just to settle into doing retreat. Yeah, you may notice that how you feel today is different than how you felt when you arrived here last night, after having rushed to get your planes and buses and car rides and everything. And the longer you stay, then the more you relax into the rhythm of the retreat. Yeah, but it takes time to do that. You don't quickly go into that. Okay? So to be free from involvement with worldly activities. I knew one person who, she built a special house to do retreat, near her teacher's house, near Dharma friends, put all the latest things in it, so it was really comfortable, really cushy. She started her retreat, and then she had a little bit of a visa problem. And then some of her Dharma friends had visa problems, and she undertook the chore of solving everybody's visa problems. Well, you know what happened to her retreat. Yeah, it was very kind of her to do all this for other people, but her retreat was blown, because she's always thinking, what do I do about this visa problem, that and this, and how do we get them renewed, and what time is the visa office open, and how am I going to get there, and so on and so on. Okay, so free from involvement in a lot of worldly activities. And then the sixth one is to live in pure ethical conduct. Okay? So this one is really important for several reasons. When we have the series of the 3 higher trainings, ethical conduct, concentration, and wisdom. Okay? So we always start with ethical conduct. One reason is because it's the first thing we need to work on when we start the path. Yeah, we all want to jump to, I want to do dream yoga, I want to do Dzogchen and Mahamudra and the unity of bliss and emptiness. And then our teacher tells us to stop lying and stop sleeping around, and we say, I don't want to do that. Give me the highest teaching. And yet our ethical conduct is worse than that of a con. Yeah? So with very lax ethical conduct, we're going to have a lot of problems. First of all, we're going to have a lot of problems with other people. Yeah, because we look at the basic ethical conduct. If we look at the 10 non-virtues, to abandon killing, stealing, stealing, and unwise and unkind sexual behavior. Okay, and then to avoid lying, creating disharmony with our speech, harsh words, idle talk or gossip. And then with our mind, eliminating, or avoiding coveting and ill will and wrong views. Is it easy to abandon those? Yeah? Think about it. Yeah, look at your behavior over one day. Can you go one day without having any of those 10? For example, can you go one day without criticizing somebody? Can you go one day without telling a little white lie, let alone the big lies? So the thing is, when we do these 10 actions, then we have a lot of problems with our relationships with other people. Then when we sit down to meditate, all those problems come in our mind. You're trying to meditate. I just had a big fight with my boyfriend or girlfriend, and I said, yeah, and I didn't really mean it, but I meant it at that time because I wanted to hurt their feelings because they hurt my feelings, and I'm still angry, and wait until I get done with this meditation session so I can go tell them off again. Yeah, that all comes during our meditation session, doesn't it? Yeah. So, impure ethical conduct creates problems with people, which creates problems in our meditation session. Then also, wrong ethical conduct creates a lot of regret in our mind. And then we sit down to meditate, and we're just full of remorse. It's like, oh, there I did it again. I just spent 2 hours idle talk. I just spent, half an hour looking at the shopping online, improving my coveting. And so then we have some regret and remorse in our mind. Okay? So that creates difficulties in our meditation. So, that is again why we take and keep precepts. Because when we do that, then we act better. The precepts help us act better. Then we don't have so many regrets. And all those regrets don't interrupt our meditation. Okay? So when if you have monastic precepts, good. If you have lay precepts, the 5 lay precepts to avoid killing, stealing, unwise and unkind sexual behavior, lying and taking intoxicants, then it's very good. It really acts as a support for your meditation. Yeah. When I first went up to Kopan in the 70s, we were all like a bunch of hippies, kind of, Kopan's in Nepal. So, we had all gone to Freak Street. That's what they called the hippie dope area down in Kathmandu. We had all gone to Freak Street and then found our way up the hill, and sat in the tent, and Lama would be teaching us meditation, and somebody would go, Lama, how did taking drugs relate to meditation? Can taking acid improve the quality of your visualization? Can smoking a joint before eliminate your anxiety and help you concentrate? This is what my teachers had to deal with the first batch of Westerners who walked up the hill. Okay? It was quite amazing. And these questions came every single course. And Lama would always say, well, dear, you're already hallucinating. You don't need to do that anymore. You don't need any help to hallucinate. You're already hallucinating. Yeah, you have the wrong view of reality. Your ignorant mind is grasping onto things that aren't there, thinking they exist in a way they don't. Why do you want to take more drugs? Okay? So it's the same with intoxicants. If you think you're going to have a drink, smoke a joint, pop some pills, and then sit down and meditate? Really? Yeah, if you can't kind of focus your mind and make it calm when you don't have intoxicants in your bloodstream, how are you going to do it when you do have intoxicants in your bloodstream? Because even the word intoxicants indicates what they do. Yeah, they intoxicate you. Yeah, they make you unlike you usually are. And we say, well, okay, but that's for those drugs, but my drug of choice, and, Bill says, what was it, I don't smoke, I just inhaled, yeah, that one, remember? And, and it's just a little bit, one beer won't hurt anybody. So you have one beer now, and a half an hour later you have one beer, and a half an hour after that one beer. You're always only having one beer. So you're not getting intoxicated, you're not over-consuming. Okay, so, so living in pure ethical conduct really eliminates a lot of hassles in our mind and in our life, and it makes concentrating much easier. Yeah, fewer regrets, less confusion, less guilt and remorse. Okay. So these are conditions that it's very helpful for us to cultivate, in our daily life. And then as we do, we create a better foundation for our meditation practice. I don't know about you, but if I did something that wasn't so good, even if my mind was telling me it was okay, when I sit down to meditate, I have a certain kind of flavor in my mind, a certain kind of feeling. Yeah? And it's like, where did this feeling come from? And I was like, everything I did was great, great, great. Well, then how come you feel like this? Okay, what went on? What did you do? What were you thinking? And I have to really find out what it is and admit it to myself and purify it, because otherwise it comes in the mind and it disturbs. Okay? So that's why we do purification practices, so we can get rid of all that stuff. Not so we can dwell on that stuff and continue to beat ourselves up about it, but so we can purify it and let it go. Okay? Okay, so those are conditions. Then, to do your practice, okay, in terms of your meditation position, best is if you can sit in the Vajra position, which means having your right leg on your left thigh and then your left leg on your right thigh. Yeah. If you can't do that, then in the half Vajra, which is putting your left leg down, yeah, still having your right one on your right thigh. If not that, then you slide your right leg down, so then you're sitting kind of like Tara, but with both legs flat on the floor. Otherwise, just, as we usually sit, cross-legged on the floor, or on a bench, or on a chair, okay? If you're sitting in a chair, good to have a straight back chair, okay? Because it's important when we're meditating to keep our back straight. Yeah, quite important, because that helps the flow of energy. Yeah. A lot of people, even people who've been meditating for a while, when I look around, they're sitting like this. Yeah. Your head needs to be straight. Your back needs to be straight. Okay? And then the hands, the left and the right, the thumbs are touching to form a triangle, and then that's in our lap against our body. So there's some space between the side of your body and your arm. Okay, that helps the flow of the energies in your body. Yeah, right on left. Right. Did I say otherwise? Huh? Oh, anyway, it's right on left. Okay? Yeah. Okay. And then lower your eyes. If you can keep them a little bit open rather than closing them completely, it helps some light come in. And so especially if you're having problems with drowsiness, that will help you. But if you keep your eyes a little bit open, you should have them down. They say towards the tip of your nose. I find that doesn't work so well. So I think just down, on the floor in front of you, but not looking at anything particular. Yeah, because you just want some light coming in, but not looking at anything particular. If your eyes close naturally and you're not getting sleepy, it's okay. But if you have a problem with sleepiness, really look at your posture and, keep your eyes a wee bit open. Do not roll your eyes back in your head. Yeah. Do not do anything funny with your eyes. Then your mouth is closed. They say your tongue should be on the upper palate. I'm not sure where else it could be, unless your mouth is shaped differently than mine. Doesn't your tongue just naturally go on your upper palate? They say that prevents saliva, in case you get really concentrated. Okay. And then keep your head level, or just tuck your chin in just a teeny bit, okay? Don't have your chin high. I notice a lot of people, because of their glasses, they have the habit of raising their chin because they're wearing bifocals, and to, look at the person is a certain distance in front of them, they wind up having to raise their chin to look at them. And then you sit down and you're looking at the Buddha, who's about the same distance, and your chin's raised, except, the Buddha's not out there. So your head should be level. Yeah, it shouldn't be drooped. It shouldn't be like this. Yeah, it should be level. And your shoulders relaxed. Yeah? If you have tightness in your shoulders, or if you, in general, have tightness in your body, it's very good just to do a body scan before you start your session and just go through the different parts of your body, paying attention to sensations in them and relaxing any tension that's there. One thing that's very good for tightness in your shoulders, which I think a lot of people in the computer age have. Do you have tightness in your shoulders, your upper back? People? Yeah? Mine, it's like iron across here. It's very good. Lift your shoulders up towards your ears as high as you can. Tuck your chin in a little. Hold it there for a moment. And then let your shoulders fall. Really, like that. Like that. That can really be very good for getting rid of the tightness in your shoulders. You might want to do that a few times. If you have trouble falling asleep during meditation, do prostrations before you sit down to meditate. Take a brisk walk in the cold air. Yeah, don't wear a lot of warm clothes. Don't sit down with a blanket around your knees and a jacket and a hat and a scarf, because when your body's warm, the memory goes, oh, nice and warm and cozy like bed. Okay? If you keep yourself cool, you're going to be awake. Yeah, so if you're drowsy, don't wear such warm clothes or have a blanket over your knees or anything like that. What else? Okay, so that's good for your position. It's good to sit on a cushion so that your tush is higher than your legs. That prevents your legs from falling asleep. One suggestion, you will never find the perfect cushion. Yeah, you can look, but you will never find it. So, do what you can to find a cushion that suits you, but be satisfied with knowing that you'll never find the perfect one. Okay? Some people like square cushions. I can't stand them. They don't work for me. So, other people like round cushions. They work better. Some people like hard cushions, other people like soft cushions. Some people like cushions that are this high, some people like cushions that are that high. Some people need to prop up, they have a cushion under their tush, one under their right leg, one under their left leg, one under their ankles, Then they have the blanket over it, then they have, your shawl on top. And then they sneeze. And the box of tissues is under the whole rigmarole. Okay? So try and keep it simple. Yeah, really go for simplicity. Okay. Then when you sit down, it's good to start with those verses of taking refuge and so on, because they help you to direct your mind and to remember, why you're doing what you're doing. Okay? So let's look at page 28, and I'll just go through those verses very quickly. Okay, so in the Blue Book, so the Refuge and Bodhicitta prayer we've done several times already. So I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. So that is certifying for ourselves what our spiritual path is. What our refuge objects are, who our teacher is. We know what path we're following. Okay? Then the next sentence of Generating Bodhicitta tells us why we're following that path. Okay? By the merit I create by engaging in generosity and the other far-reaching practices, such as ethical conduct, fortitude, joyous effort, meditative stabilization, and wisdom. Those are the other far-reaching practices. Through practicing those, may I attain Buddhahood. Why? In order to benefit all sentient beings. So that's why we're about to do this practice. Okay, in order to attain Buddhahood, to benefit all sentient beings. Yeah. So again, we know now who our refuge objects is, what our path is, why we're following that path. And that cuts out a lot of confusion. Otherwise, we sit down to meditate, and it's like, what path am I doing? Well, let's see, I read a book on, this kind of meditation last week. Maybe I should try that. Yeah, and then I read a different kind of book on another kind of meditation the week before. Maybe I should do that one. Okay, so we get confused. What path are we following? Why am I doing this? Well, I want to gain supernatural powers. Sorry, that's not a good reason. Well, I want to be better than my friends because I want to have a good reputation as a good meditator. Sorry, that's not a good reason either. Okay? So we have to, really check what our motivation is and take care to cultivate a good one. Okay, then if you want to do the 4 immeasurables, that's also very good to do. Yeah? But I won't go into those right now. And then the 7-limb prayer. This is specifically for purification and creation of merit. So each of these 7 sentences, is for a different thing. So reverently I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind means that we are humbling ourselves in the presence of the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Okay, I am bowing with my body, with my speech, because I'm saying the prayer, with my mind, because I have an attitude of faith and respect. Okay, so that already helps us prepare for the meditation session. If we go into a meditation session, I am so wonderful, I am very good at things, that arrogant mind is going to be an obstacle for a meditation. So, reverently I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, and present clouds of every type of offering, actual and mentally transformed. So to counteract miserliness, to counteract clinging, we make actual offerings. Oh, somebody didn't make the offerings in the front row this morning. But we made the water bowl offerings. We have light offerings, food offerings. Okay? So we make offerings to help free us of attachment and to create merit. And then mentally transformed offerings is we imagine everything beautiful in the sky. So anything you're attached to that could come in your mind and distract you, then you offer to the Buddha. So, okay, I make offerings to the Buddha. Here's every sci-fi video in the shop I offer to the Buddha. Here's every Alfred Hitchcock novel. Movie. And Sherlock Holmes novel I offer to the Buddha. Here's, every Playboy magazine. then you better really check what you're offering to the Buddha. Okay? So you make offerings of things you're attached to. I confess all my destructive actions accumulated since beginningless time. So any misdeeds we may have done, things that we regret having thought, said, or done, then we bring those to mind. We regret them, we release them. We do not, sit and beat ourselves up about having them. Okay, but we do regret them. And rejoice in the virtues of all holy and ordinary beings. So this counteracts jealousy. We rejoice in others' virtues, we rejoice in their talents, we rejoice in their good qualities. Please remain until cyclic existence ends is a request to the Buddha and to our spiritual mentors to please stay in our world, to please live long, so that they can guide and teach us, and turn the wheel of Dharma for sentient beings. That's requesting them to give us teachings, because hearing teachings is so important to making progress on the path. And then I dedicate all the virtues of myself and others to the Great Awakening. So all this merit that we've created from the 6 previous practices, we're going to dedicate, we're going to steer in the direction how we want it to ripen is in the full awakening of all sentient beings. Okay? So, doing those 7 kinds of thoughts and really thinking about them when you're saying them, it transforms your mind, it enriches your mind, it softens your mind and makes it more receptive to doing the meditation practice. Okay, then you bring to mind your object of meditation. So you have to be very clear what your object of meditation is. It's not one day I'm meditating on the breath, next day I'm meditating on Chenrezig, next day is my object of concentration, next day on the Buddha, next day, on this, that, the other thing. You have, when you're developing concentration, which is unlike analytic meditation, you're staying with one object and just coming back and developing familiarity with it. Yeah, because you're doing stabilizing meditation at that point. When you're doing analytic meditation, the purpose is different. There you're trying to get an understanding of one of the Buddha's teachings. So there you're thinking about a topic. And so, the different things you're thinking about are going to change as you're thinking about the reasons and coming to a conclusion. But with stabilizing meditation, we stick with one object. Okay? So at the beginning, you might have to try different objects in order to see what works for you. Or you confer with your teacher, especially before you do retreat, to see what object to focus on. Okay, then, so you recall your meditation object and you hold it with mindfulness. So here mindfulness refers to a mental factor that remembers your meditation object. Okay, so it doesn't just remember it for one breath, or for one instant, but your mind holds the mindfulness on that object. So if it's the image of the Buddha, you're holding, what did the Buddha's eyes look like, his hair, his body? What's the feeling you get from his body language? His body's made of golden light. You're holding all of that in mind. You're remembering your meditation object. Okay? And then you apply another mental factor called introspective awareness, which is like a little spy, and it comes and checks to see if you're still on the same object as you started out with, or if you're falling asleep or you've gotten distracted. And if you're off your object, then you apply the antidote. to bring your mind back to it. And we'll be talking about those antidotes tomorrow.